economic situation in the country is very precarious, and I think it is the direct result of two factors. One, the sanctions. Two, the utter incompetence and corruption of the regime. Both of these have played a very, very critical role in making the Iranian economy the basket case that it has become, in spite of the fact that in the last 7 years alone, Iran has received more than 60% of the entire oil revenue from the day oil was discovered in Iran. That is a remarkable fact, to be able to have that much money and have essentially an economy that has double-digit inflation. Depending on who you ask, you'll get a different response. Double-digit unemployment. Unemployment for the youth is estimated by the government to be 30% above the national rate. The national rate conservatively is 12 to 14%. So 40% of the youth, which is 3/5 of the population, are unemployed. Inflation is, again, by some government officials, 25%. Other government officials put it at 50% per month, I'm talking about. So the economy cannot continue. This, to me, indicates a new willingness by the Iranian regime to negotiate.
There are some parallels between Iraq in '81 and Iran today, but I think it's important to be cautious about drawing direct comparisons. First of all, the Iranian program today is much more robust, it is much more extensive and much less vulnerable than the Iraqi sort of developing nuclear infrastructure that was attacked in 1981. The Iranians and other countries, including Libya and Pakistan, have been concerned that they would be attacked in a similar way, and they have tried to set up an infrastructure that is much more dispersed and not so vulnerable to a single attack or to a series of attacks. So I think those differences are quite important. Another significant difference is that Iraq was, governed by Saddam Hussein almost personally. Iran is a multipolar political system, and I think we should be cautious about assuming that Iran will respond just like Iraq did, in part for that, for that reason. And finally, there are these proliferation risks look very different. Iraq in 1981 was developing a long-term nuclear weapons option. Iran today is approaching a breakout option, which means that they are much, much closer to being able to actually produce at least one nuclear weapon in a much shorter time frame.
We have to take Iran seriously as a sovereign state and negotiate with them seriously. The P5+1 negotiation with Iran is a joke. We announced that we're not going to do anything for the Iranians that's serious before the meetings happen, and after the meetings occur, we assure everybody that we haven't done anything serious. And the Iranians do the same thing. They were talking to our domestic constituencies and assuring them that we're not going to do anything. With the Soviets, we negotiated all over the place in many different fora, secretly. We tried to make agreements on a number of issues. We didn't make everything hinge on nuclear weapons. We talked about human rights. We made progress on lots of things. If you want to talk to a regime that is behaving badly, you can't do it if you make a condition of your talking to them. They're changing their behavior, which is the purpose of talking to them to begin with. So it really has made no sense, our approach to Iran. We need to get tougher with the IRGC and smarter with Iran.
My view has been that the United States should, indicated this from many, many years ago, should do with Iran what the Reagan administration did with Soviet Union. Negotiate with them unconditionally, negotiate with them on all issues, negotiate with them as a despotic sovereign state. Human rights, in my view, democracy, in my view, women's rights, in my view, the rights of minorities, religious minorities, are as important as the nuclear issue. unless you have a democratic Iran, you will not have a resolution of the nuclear issue. The West has gotten it, I think, wrong. They played in the game, in the side of the field that the regime wanted. The regime's vulnerabilities are in democracy and human rights, not on the nuclear issue.
Don't kill Iranian scientists and take a clear position on that. Killing scientists and engineers will not stop a nuclear program or a nuclear weapons program in any country. It certainly didn't in the case of Iraq. We know that. The second point is don't try to combine engagement with regime change objectives. Be clear about what exactly you are doing and what your objectives are in the long term. And the third point is combine serious, and I do mean serious, diplomatic engagement with an effort to actually strengthen the IAEA's role and their insight, both in terms of their access in Iran, but also in terms of their budget and their actual capacity to monitor the Iranian program in a serious way.
Ronald Reagan famously said the Soviet Union was the evil empire at the same time that he was implementing a serious diplomatic engagement with the Soviet Union. You can believe that a state and a government, a form of government, is headed for the junk pile of human history, as he put it, and at the same time engage them, because it's in our interest to do that. And that's what we need to do with Iran.